The food. A lot of people complain about the food. Going to a Carinderia, stuff's been sitting out for 8 hours. It's a slimy, congealed mess. Okay, yeah. Again, once you get to a place, once you get to boots on ground, you're going to find the good places to eat. You're going to find the public market. Early in the morning, the fish is still kicking. You're going to be able to purchase really inexpensive fish and produce there. We go to the Darrow Market, there's just piles and piles of produce. Some of it's still got dirt on it. It's just been picked that day. So over time, you're going to be able to compensate for people saying that the Philippines has missed the boat when it comes to Asian cuisine. There's actually a number of Filipino restaurants that we frequent a lot because I like Filipino food. I'm easy to please. Something else you might not like about the Philippines is the level of poverty here. This is a developing country. Some people call it a third world country. It's ubiquitous. You're going to see it basically everywhere you go. And it's not something that we see in the West to the extent that you'll see it here because we have social programs that are available to people so that they don't have to go hungry or live without a roof over their head. You're going to see people struggling to get their next meal. You're going to see little street kids, all dirty, filthy, sleeping on the concrete, begging every day. And you're going to see, old ladies and old men hanging out by the churches and asking for alms, asking for donations. And it's difficult to see, and some people have a real problem with it. First off, a coping mechanism that I use is it makes me appreciate and be a lot more grateful for the opportunities that I've been afforded being born into a first world country. And some other coping mechanisms that you can utilize. When I first moved here, I belonged to a forum and everybody was like, oh, don't give the beggars any money because they just become socially dependent on handouts and we're going to create a welfare state. And then one day I noticed that Michelle, who makes a significantly smaller amount of money than I do, would regularly give the kids coins, 5, 10 pesos coins. And that kind of humbled me. And ever since then, I've had no problem passing out coins, 5 pesos here, 10 pesos here, to people that need it, people that are reaching out their hand and need some food. So when you hear people saying, oh, don't give the beggars anything because they'll just swarm on you and all that, yes, some areas of Cebu, Manila, that will happen. But where we are, I haven't experienced that. And again, it's just coming to appreciate, coming to be more grateful for the opportunities that you've had, and doing what you can to make a difference. We did the fundraiser for the new house construction. We'll be doing an update on that soon. And again, that was through our subscribers. So sometimes you're going to have opportunities to make change. You're going to be able to help people and do that whole selfless, altruistic thing, which is pretty cool. I noticed this a lot for some reason with the Norwegians. Everybody gives the Norwegians crap, but I always see them like setting up medical clinics, basketball courts. I don't know what's going on in Norway, but they seem to be doing a lot locally. So that's some ways of dealing with that. Also dealing with things that can kill you. Dengue. I got hammered today with by mosquitoes and stuff. Dengue, spiders, scorpions, pythons, all kinds of crazy things that are going to try to eat you and kill you. Ways to deal with that is have screens on your windows. We have screens. We didn't have screens in Darwin, and man, it was just freaking Insect Central. It's like an episode of National Geographic every night. So things you can do like that. You can also get mosquito repellent to deal with the dengue and the malaria, which is not something you want to deal with. Luckily, I haven't had to deal with that yet. When you're going out, just watch where you're walking. Overnight, these spider webs go up, and you're hitting them face first all the time. So watch where you're walking, and also watch where you're putting your feet, because there are a number of poisonous snakes in the Philippines. And when you're out and about, just keep your situational awareness up and keep an eye out for those things. And also, if you get bit by a snake, make sure you kill it and get to a medical clinic as quickly as possible. Because if you have the dead snake, at least they can identify it. And if it is dangerous or deadly, they'll be able to identify it and hopefully apply it anti-venom. Also in the ocean, make sure you wear, they call them rash guards. Make sure you're wearing something long sleeve to protect yourself, because there are a number of box jellyfish that kill dozens of people here every year in the Philippines. And don't be, picking up sea urchins and all that stuff like I did. So that's some ways you can deal with things that are trying to kill you. Also, dealing with some of the insurgencies that are going on, MILF, BIFF, NPA, and all that stuff. Just know what areas are hot and which areas to avoid, and play it smart. Another thing that you may not like about the Philippines is boredom. If you don't have anything to do, if you don't have a passion and purpose in the Philippines, you're going to go nuts. You're going to end up being one of those guys that is going up to the bar at 10 o'clock in the morning and knocking back the San Miguel's until he passes out, or the Tandoy, or the Emperador. So find something to do. Hobbies, gentleman gardening, getting involved in community affairs, volunteering, teaching. I know there's a number of guys here that are teaching at the universities. A number of them are doing it voluntarily. They're not even getting paid, because you really can't do that without proper permits. Get involved, give back, and just become part of something. Because if you're just sitting around all day, you're going to get really bored. You can only watch so much TV. You can only read your Kindle so much. You can only surf the net so much, and that's when the internet's working. So make sure you have something to do. Make sure, whether it's writing, something. Dealing with boredom. And don't get caught up in the drinking thing here, man. I see a lot of guys getting caught up in that, and that usually doesn't end well. Especially when they're getting drunk and they're jumping on their bikes, or they're getting drunk with other Filipinos who are drunk, and arguments ensue, and the sarcasm isn't understood. So be aware of that. The second to last thing that you might not like about the Philippines, crime. Again, situational awareness. Who's watching you? When you go to the ATM, keep everything covered, keep everything on the DL. Make sure you're putting it in your front pockets. Keep an eye out for pickpockets and all that. Make sure you have steel grates on your windows. Make sure, if you have a wall, you got your gate locked. I've forgotten to lock the gate a number of times. Thanks, Michelle, for reminding me. So those are things you can do to deal with the crime. A lot of it is opportunistic. And again, there's a lot of poverty here, and as a foreigner, you're going to be targeted. Oh, he's a foreigner that lives over here. Let's break into his house. Also, if you're coming here, get some of those alarms, that send out the sound waves, and when somebody walks through, it triggers and it has a really high decibel count. I'm actually getting a couple of those when I go back to the U.S. You can get them on Amazon. And finally, the final thing that you might not like about the Philippines is scammers. Yes, people get scammed, people get hustled. But again, as foreigners, a lot of us here are coming and utilizing our status as leverage to date and go out with, and sometimes marry, beautiful young Filipinas. So we're hustling to a certain extent. And a lot of times with the scamming, it's kind of obvious what's going on. Repeated requests for money, the grandmother keeps dying over and over again. It's like, how many grandmothers do you have? So what you can do to deal with that is, if you're in a situation, talk to your friends, talk to your family, tell people what are going on, and listen to them. They're going to be more objective than you are when you're emotionally involved and you're falling head over heels in love. They're going to be more objective, and they're going to be closer to reality. You might not like the things they say, but sometimes that's what we need to hear. When I go to a doctor and he tells me things I don't want to hear, like for smoking, for example. Oh, you got to quit smoking, you're going to die. I appreciate that. Sometimes we need to hear the things that we don't want to hear. So, to avoid getting scammed, getting hustled, make sure you're talking to your friends, your family. Let them know what's going on. Oh, she needs this, she needs that, she's asking for this. And just be aware that there's a lot of leverage on both sides going on. There's a lot of people utilizing what they have to get what they want. So you got to keep it in perspective. All right, so those are the 15 things that you might, some of the 15 things that you might not like about living in the Philippines or working in the Philippines. Again, the positives far outweigh the negatives. I love the Philippines, and I love Dumaguete. I really do. This is a great town. And I'm probably never going to leave. I'm not going to probably live anywhere else in the Philippines. I'll visit. But as having a website and having a YouTube channel, it's our obligation and our duty to talk about some of the negatives as well as the positives. Because a lot of people are like, oh, Ned, you got to do a video about things that you like about the Philippines. I think the vast majority, like 99% of the videos we've done, have been on things I really love about the Philippines. But every now and then we got to talk about some of the challenges that you're going to face. All right, enough babbling. This one's really long. Until next time, this is Ned over at My Philippine Dreams. Ampeng, take care.